Hey, everybody, and welcome to our weekly career huddle. This is a session that I always look forward to every single week. We'll get started here shortly, but if you're just joining us, hit the wave button down below. Let me know that you can see me. Let me know that you can hear me. I see Nadia on, Monica the chemist, Ham's on, Sarah. Hey, Sarah. Where's everybody joining from today? Throw a comment down below and just let me know where you're joining from. And I'm so excited to have everybody here for our weekly career huddle. Hey, Stacy, how's it going? Nadia, hope you guys are having an awesome week this week. I think most of the group is on my daily text messages, and you're part of my text community, and we've been texting back and forth. If that's you, just say yes down below so I know that you're part of the crew. All this week, we've been talking about defining moments. We've been talking about defining moments all week this week. And, the crazy thing about defining moments is when you're in one of those moments, when you're living it, it's hard to know that it's one of those moments right now that you're living in. And oftentimes it's actually when you look back at that moment, either a few weeks later, a few years later, that you actually start to that you went through one of these pivotal moments in your life. And, I think I've had a few of these moments throughout my life when I start thinking about like defining moments in like the major milestones that I've lived through. See Hip on from Rochester. Hey, Nick, thanks for joining us. Queen, what's up, Carson?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. A little bit of a change of scenery for both of us this
Yeah,
week. Like Carson, like throughout your life, like what would you say one of your defining moments has been?
I think for me it was during undergrad choosing kind of figuring out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life or like what I was interested in and then being able to completely switch like what I thought I had gone to school for.
Hmm.
So it was probably like one of the scariest moments of my life. Kind of like having to almost throw away everything that I thought I wanted to do, everything I knew. And then also exciting at the same time, switching that up. And it was actually the best decision I've ever made. But so that was
Yeah,
probably my relevant defining moment.
yeah. You know what's interesting about that you bring that up is that seems like such a huge decision at the time. And yet most people throughout their careers go through a couple switches. Like it's not uncommon for somebody to start their career in a non-technical area and then actually pick up technical skills throughout their career and then pivot into something that's technical. It's also not uncommon, I know friends who went to law school and practiced law for a few years, and then after they paid off their student loans, they decided that, yeah, it's not right for me. And I think we hear stories all the time of like people halfway through their career, like going back and getting a nursing degree. And whether it's figuring out where to start your career or whether it's figuring out like what type of career change that you want to make or pivot, those are all kind of defining moments within somebody's life. Like during that moment though, like how did you feel when you had to like make that decision? Because it's not fun to go through at the time.
Yeah. It kind of, I feel like for me, it was pushing myself to realize, okay, like what is my purpose? What um, am I passionate about? What do I want to get out of a career or out of an education? And so I felt like it was a lot of almost like not soul searching, but in a way, realizing like what brings you joy. But at the same time, it was so nerve wracking. I was second guessing, like, is this right? And a lot of like thinking of external factors, like what are other people going to think about it?
Yeah, if you're just joining us, this is our weekly career huddle. I see JG Hampton. Hey, how's it going? Gatlin Griffin, good to see you. Meg, thanks Joe so much for joining us. RY Mac, Taylor Williams, awesome to have you. And throughout these moments, defining moments, I sent out a text message earlier today that kind of talked about like how to get through these defining moments. One of the first things to understand is that fear is normal. Like fear is completely normal because you have to make these decisions in your life in terms of, are you going to take path A or are you going to take path B? And both of them could lead to the same spot. Both of them could but you never know whether it's one way or the other. And I think that's one of the things about defining moments is they're like make or break moments in your life where it forces you to kind of get out of your skin a little bit. It forces you to get a little bit uncomfortable, but it forces you to either make a decision or act a little bit differently, right? And oftentimes people look back at that, years later and you go, well, that was kind of a no-brainer, but it's only with the gift of hindsight that you actually have the opportunity to do that. For anybody who didn't join us last week on this career huddle, and it's on our IGTV, our Instagram TV section of our profile, we talked about I Will. And I Will was our week-long series that was all about taking baby steps, taking first steps, and kind of how to map out your journey, whether that's you want to run a marathon in the future, whether it's you want to lose weight, whether you want to get fit, whether you want to eat healthier, or it could also be applied to your career. It could be applied to your education, whether you want to get into a specific master's program, whether you want to head a specific direction in your career. And the reason why taking that first step ends up being important is because a lot of the times there's prerequisites, like not prerequisites on even something like a college course, but like prerequisites in life. And that could be having some type of real world work experience in a particular area. Oftentimes, some of the greatest accomplishments in life aren't something that you can just do last minute. Hey, Lena, thanks for joining us. I see your wave down in the chat. Down on the below, by the way, on Instagram, there's a little paper arrow icon. And so if you know somebody that you think would benefit from this information, if you know somebody who's looking for a college internship, our applications are currently open for our fall internship program, but hit that little paper airplane icon on the bottom and you could just type a quick note and just tap on search for a few friends that you think would benefit from this. One of the awesome things about this internship program that we're running, I think we have probably a few of our interns on right now.
Yeah, I see some of them in the chat, pretty active. Love it.
So if that's you, throw a little thumbs up in the chat so that other people know that you're out there. It's been awesome. We've kicked off this internship program. We have a group of incredible interns who last week knocked out a HubSpot marketing certification, so an inbound marketing certification. And like these are the types of things that I wish I would have known before I went into my first job. Because you kind of think like, I don't know, at least I thought that going to college was like, that was what was supposed to prepare me for the real world.
Yeah.
And I'm really, kind of laughing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of laughing.
Well, one other thing that's kind of funny, Vincent, about that is, so when I decided like, okay, I was like really determined on going to law school, then decided like, oh shoot, I actually would not enjoy that at all. And then wanting to make that transition into business and having both of us having gone to a research university, obviously we don't even have a business undergrad. And so it was really hard to know, okay, like I have made this huge change, decided I want to go into this area, and then not knowing where to start and like expecting and like when you don't have your education or your university to provide those resources or those classes for you, I feel like getting these certifications and like are a great way to get insight into seeing if that actually is something you want to go into.
Yeah, I think that's a really good perspective on kind of the student sides of things. And for anybody who knows, throughout my career, I spent time on the recruiting team for a Fortune 100 company. And so I've done thousands of interviews, like have screened, I don't even know how many resumes I've seen, but it's a lot. And I think the thing that I wish I would have known coming out of school was just how competitive it was. And when you take a look at like the best candidates, the best job candidates, even for entry-level positions, they have incredible experiences. And not all of those experiences are even working for companies. Recently, I was on the selection committee for a fellowship for an econ program at a major university. And like one of the candidates for the fellowship had literally launched a Shopify store when they were a teenager, and they sold $250,000 worth of phone cases that they designed and sold it through a Shopify store. And so when you think about having these marketing skills, having sales skills, having a little bit of technical knowledge, I'm not saying you have to be like a hardcore coder, but being able to have a personal portfolio website is huge, and it stands out so much when you have that on your LinkedIn profile, when you have that on your resume, because it's one thing to say, yes, I know a little bit of HTML. It's one thing to say, yes, I dabbled in a little bit of graphic design for making flyers for a student organization that I was in. It's a completely different thing when somebody goes to your resume and they see, oh, Carson.com, VincentPV.com, and it takes you to a website where you can prove it. And like
Yeah.
the proof is a whole different level of saying that you can do something versus showing them that beyond a reasonable doubt. That's why I love what you're talking about with the certifications, as this kind of like third party proof for third party validation. We're going to save some time for Q&A on this session. So in the weekly huddle, we always try to leave like the last 10 minutes or so for Q&A. At the bottom of your screen, there's a little question mark. So it's like a chat bubble with a question mark. So if you're one of our interns, if you're interested in joining our internship program in the future, if you're in the middle of your career and you're looking at transitioning into a new career and you have a question that you want us to talk about, just hit that little chat bubble. That's kind of like the fun thing about doing this versus a podcast, is this is like way more interactive and it's
Yeah.
awesome. I see Chris, who's one of our Vyten Pro members. Annie, thanks for joining us. Matthew Ritz, awesome to have you here. So if you have any questions, throw that in the chat bubble. And this week, Carson, we're talking, one of our intern cohorts is going through a career in public relations. And that was something that you were interested in doing, I know, at one point
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah, definitely. So that is something that I saw, and I was like, okay, my the things that I'm interested in seem to align with this career option. Like, I want to figure out how I can explore that path. And again, it kind of goes back to, okay, if I want to get an internship, I have to have some kind of experience in this realm, and I don't at all. And I think, a good way that I think you brought up to me when I was first coming to you with this like contemplation is, what are things that I've already done that I don't really realize could be applicable to the field. So whether that be doing your own branding for your own social media account, or writing a paper and publishing it in a journal or in your school newspaper, those things that you kind of realize, okay, maybe I have had these experiences. And then I remember Vincent was super helpful in setting up calls for me to talk to different people in the field. And I feel like that's such an amazing resource as well, because you really don't know what goes on unless you've had some insight from people who are doing that job on the day to day. Yeah, and so that's kind of where I stood with PR. I don't think it's something that I would be amazing at doing, but having not have had that perspective and getting that insight, I probably would have just thrown myself into it. And who knows?
Yeah, that's a really great point. Spencer, by the way, thanks for joining us, Spencer348. I just got a text message as well from Janelle, who's, I think, in New York, who just sent me a text that said, I'm on the live right now. So good to have you here as well. If you have questions that you want us to answer, throw it in the Q&A button at the bottom of Instagram Live. You can also text me if you have my phone number. I pinned my cell phone number in the message on here as well. And so you can also text message me your questions as well. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think one of the things that I underestimated was just how important having that network is. And, to be honest, like I didn't know where to start building that network at one point in time. And something that happens now all the time is underclassmen. So after I started working, underclassmen who I had known, right? Like when I was a senior, they were a freshman, or, when I was a junior, like they were, pledging, like those relationships actually make a ton of sense because
Mhm.
you're getting somebody who's a few years ahead of you who can help you then make the move that they were themselves were able to make. Or maybe, there were things that they liked about taking that path, or things that they didn't like about taking that path. And you can just learn from their experience doing that as well. But man, the referrals into those companies make a huge, huge difference. This week on the podcast, we had Ernst & Young. We had an associate director from Ernst and Young. This is the How I Got Here podcast. There's a link in our Instagram bio, in the link tree. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify. Has anybody here listened to the podcast? Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. But one of the things that he had said on the podcast episode this week was you got to start building those relationships with recruiters like your sophomore year, like your junior year.
Yeah.
If you're waiting until you meet these people at a career fair, which who knows how long it's going to be until in-person career fairs happen like they normally do. But if you wait that long, chances are that's too late, because there's other people who have been actually grooming those relationships since their freshman and sophomore year. And they have like a 2-year advantage in knowing this recruiter. They're connected with these recruiters on LinkedIn. So anytime that recruiter is like posting a message on LinkedIn, they're like the strongest candidates are jumping in there and they're typing messages to be able to connect with those recruiters. And it makes such a huge difference. Such a huge difference. And so I'm checking my notes here. So, it is possible. It is possible when you go to apply for a job that you have these groomed relationships if you're doing it right, if you're doing a good job nurturing those relationships, if you're keeping in touch with people who have graduated a few years ahead of you. And, it's possible to make that jump where you transition into the beginning of your career well. And a lot of that has to do with being able to learn the skills. To Carson's point, like, this week, all of our Vyten interns who are in week 2 of the internship are learning how to write a press release. And, learning how to write a press release was like something that I had to awkwardly Google and like try to figure out how to do when I was in my first job where I had to actually do like the real thing. And so to be able to get practice doing that, I think would have made me a stronger candidate when I went to go interview for that job. But also, it's a lot better of a position to be, like, being in that job and like being confident that I know how to do it because I've learned how to do those things that unfortunately in college, like I know there was no point in time where it was like, how to write a press release in college, just because the stuff, to your point, was so research focused and so much like academic theory instead.
Yeah, exactly.
So, the question that I have for all of you is, like, what do you think your defining moments are this year? My defining moment for sure this year is becoming a new father, and being able to spend time with our 1-year-old at home. And, it's kind of been a glass half full situation where I'm able to then take everything that's tough about this year and focus on the positive of it, which is I'm able to spend more time at home with my baby girl. But your defining moment could be moving into a different house, moving to a different city, getting a brand new apartment. And it could be, really taking that next move, that first move in your career. All of those could be defining moments. But Carson, I know you're going to be moving cities pretty soon.
Yeah, I actually just signed my lease today, so I'm so stoked. Yeah, I feel like these are kind of the moments that we all know are going to be defining, like moving to a city, not knowing anyone. That's definitely going to be a test, but those are the moments that we know, like, I know I'm going to grow from that. But also, I think we should talk about how other defining moments happen even when you don't know that they're a defining moment. Like, there are little things that we probably don't realize, like, their importance, or like decisions that we make that until later on down the line. And so, Vincent, if you want to kind of give insight about how any of the small moments that you seize the opportunity to move up in your career and into a Fortune 100 company, I feel like that would be beneficial.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I had always had mentors, and I had always looked at folks and said, gosh, that person has it so figured out, right? That person has gotten promoted. They're working at a great brand name company. Like, I can't wait till like I can flip a switch and be good enough to do that. And that was kind of like a big moment of realization. I see Lauren just joined us. Hey, Lauren. Hey, Monica. Thanks so much for joining us. This is our weekly career huddle if you just joined us. And if you want to share this session with anybody else, if you know somebody else who could benefit from this session, hit that little airplane icon at the bottom, and you can actually send a message to them through Instagram. So would love it if you invited anybody that you think would benefit. But yeah, Carson, like I think the moment that I really realized was when other people started reaching out to me for mentorship. That was like the point where I had made that like magical switch. And, there were like exterior things too. 40 under 40, which was an award that I got this year, was a big defining moment for me because that had kind of been what I had been working towards.
Mhm.
But, to your point, like these things just don't happen by accident. You can also set your vision for things that you want to do in the future. And one of the things that's always been on my bucket list for, gosh, the past 10 plus years is to do a TEDx talk. But the thing is like those things don't happen unless you work towards them
Mhm.
and unless you're creating that future for yourself. And if you were on with us last week, you heard us say, the Vyten method. V stands for vision, and Y in Vyten stands for year. What can you do in the next year? So the question that I have for everybody who's on right now is, it's a tough year. Are you going to sit back on your couch? Are you going to watch Netflix? Are you going to like binge the entire season of The Home Edit? Maybe, I don't know. It's actually a pretty good show if anybody's seen it. But you can also work this year still working towards your future, working towards your career, working towards what your vision and what your aspirations and what your dreams are for the future as well. And the reality of it is a lot of people always say like, "Oh, I just don't have time to do that." Like, "Oh, I don't have time to run every single morning because I wake up too late, or I'm just too busy. I have too much schoolwork. I have midterms coming up, so I can't go on a 5K 5 mile run this week because I have finals that I have to do." And the truth of the matter is if you have never felt like you have had time, like that excuse kind of just goes to the side this year because everybody has time this year,
Yeah.
right? So whether it's that book that you always wanted to read, or listen to on Audible, whether it's you've always wanted to start a blog, or you've always wanted to start a YouTube channel, you've always wanted to launch a Shopify store, you always wanted to get, you know, an internship done, and now you can do that internship literally like from your webcam or like from your home. You don't even have to like move to a specific city. You're not limited by the companies that are there. So I don't have time in 2020 really just doesn't work anymore as a reason not to do it.
And I think that kind of goes back to the point you made earlier of, yes, this year has been so transitional for all of us, but we can focus on the positive. So, for example, yes, we're doing school from home or we're working from home. Um, that also means, okay, we don't have that travel time. So instead of walking to class or driving to work, you can read that book or listen to more podcasts. But also, I saw that Lori in the chat said that her defining moment was starting all over after losing a 20 plus job and finding amazing Vincent.
Thank you, Lori, so much. That's really humbling. And the truth of the matter is like we're here to serve. We're here to serve, and this year we're here to try to help as many people as we possibly can. And that's why we're doing this internship program. That's why we've brought on an incredible group of interns, because I saw like all the news articles of like this company was canceling their internships, that company was canceling their internships. And the truth is that this year, for people who lean in, for people who choose to do it, it can still be done, and it's definitely still possible. And things, Carson, to your point, can potentially be even a little bit easier because so many things can be done virtually. If you have somebody that you've always wanted to reach out to and always wanted to ask them if they'll just spend 5 minutes to grab coffee with you, to your point, now you don't have to be in the same city. You can be in any city, they can be in any
Yeah.
city, and you don't even have to sit in traffic. You don't even have to drive to that person. And so you got nothing to lose this year. I think another one is like not making a decision in itself kind of is a decision if you think about it. So I know,
Yeah.
for me, when I didn't know like what career path to take, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to go into sales. I don't know if I want to go into marketing. I don't know if I want to do product. I'm not even sure what product is, right? like these kind of like uncertainties and like the things that I didn't know like prevented me from making a decision. And the truth of the matter is, not making a decision kind of is a decision, as well. You know, it's funny, I got a text message the other day from somebody who said, you know, I'm not sure if this internship is right for, or I'm not sure if the Vyten internship is right for me because I'm not sure if I want to go into marketing. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure. And like, here's what I'd have to say about that: doing the internship is actually the perfect way to find out whether or not it is right or wrong for you, because you
Mhm.
get a little bit of a taste of it, right?
Yeah.
And you know, for me, like I took the LSAT, and that was my way of figuring out that being a lawyer wasn't right for me. But gosh, that was so much better than doing 3 years of law school and potentially not figuring out that it was right for me. And
Mhm.
so, you know, if you have something that you're thinking about doing, you might as well just jump in, because even if you decide that it's not right for you, that's the fastest way to figure out whether something is or isn't the right move for you. And
Exactly.
at its worst, you'll learn something from it. And so, you know, type down below in the comments, like, what do you think you want to do in the future? Like, what, you know, are you interested in potentially going into HR? Are you interested in potentially being a recruiter, sales, marketing? Do you want to become a software engineer? You're going to do a coding boot camp? But type down below, even if it's not what you think you want to do. Like if you were just to throw something off the top of
Or
your
if you're
head on what you want to do
interested.
next, yeah, if you're just interested, throw it down below. And then if you see somebody else that said the same thing, if you see somebody else that said the same thing as you, just follow them on Instagram and get together, and you know, you can share tips for each other on what you've seen out there. But not knowing what you're going to do in the future shouldn't stop you. Here's something very bold: CEO. Love that. Love that. Um, so the last one is, I don't have any work experience. I don't have any work experience. I wish you would said I'm interested in dental hygiene. I think that's an awesome one. Not during a pandemic. Right now, I'm like terrified at the idea of having somebody put their hands in my mouth. But I think that's an awesome career during normal times. And then work in sales or product marketing. And you know, the reality of it is, dental offices need good marketers as well. Monica, the chemist, says working towards becoming an attorney or a judge. I think that's great. I potentially want to explore data analytics and become the CEO of one or more companies around my passions: photography and fashion. You see, Aurora, biomedical engineering. These are awesome. These are awesome. I'm so excited for everybody here. And the last one, Carson, is folks who say, I don't have any work experience. Like, how do you think somebody should break through that? You talked about it a little bit at the
Yeah.
top of this.
So
At the top
I
of this.
was talking with one of our actual interns and Vyten Pro members. I think Chris is still on here the other day about you may not think that you have experience in a certain field or industry or position, but if you break it down to its simplest components, you can often find you've gone through things that are applicable to that situation. And if you haven't, that's where exploring your network of somebody who has that position, who can kind of point you in the right directions of resources or certifications to get. But I think it's oftentimes hard for us, especially like people who are recent grads or students, to know what specific field or position in an industry that they want to go into. And so I think doing that research and finding those resources and taking those certifications, doing unpaid internships or offering help to somebody in that field, offering an unpaid assistant, things like that. That's how you're going to get that experience. And a lot of people are very open to providing that as a resource to you. And I think that kind of comes in to what you were saying about tapping into your network, because that is ultimately, those are the resources that are going to get you that experience.
Yeah, totally. I see Danielle just joined us. Hey, Danielle. Dominic just joined us. My good buddy, John Stern. John, always good to have you. This is our weekly career huddle. So we're talking all things career. If you have questions, hit that question button down at the bottom of Instagram. Hey, Samuel, thanks so much for joining us. Hit that question button down at the bottom of the Instagram window and just type in your questions. And we're going to save some time for questions here at the end. Carson, that's a really good point. Like, I saw in the chat earlier that Sudar said that he wants to go into a role in cybersecurity in the future, but doesn't have any prior experience. And the truth of the matter is, everybody has to start somewhere, right? Everybody at one point didn't have any work experience, and everybody at one point got their first kind of like grown up job, right? Or everybody at one point pivoted into another career. And at one point, I had no work experience in e-commerce. I had experience in consumer electronics, a bunch of other areas, and this is something that John Stern's on, who knows. I had no experience in e-commerce, so one of the first things that I did was I started a podcast about e-commerce, and it was crazy because I was like, well, at first I was like, well, how am I even remotely qualified to be able to start a podcast on a topic that I don't know much about? But the truth of the matter is I started reaching out to other people, inviting them to be guests on the show. I started interviewing them, and I literally got to be able to reach out to people who are experts and be able to talk to them for like 30 minutes or an hour and ask them any question that I wanted about e-commerce and be able to pick their brain. And over time, I've started building up that experience. And so, if you have an area that you're interested in, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's whatever it is, you have the ability to be able to start building up your own experience. And one of the fastest ways of doing that is actually just starting a blog. Like if I knew nothing, I see Kenzie just joined us. Nate just joined us. Thanks so much for joining us. Good to have you guys here. This is our weekly career huddle. If I had to get a job in an area where I had no work experience, like one of the first things I would do is launch a personal blog, launch a website on a WordPress site and build a personal blog. And the reason that I would do that is because then you could reach out to other cybersecurity experts and just ask them if you could write a blog post about them. And you can literally just like email them 5 questions that you want to ask them, and then they can either type their responses back, or you could say, hey, if it's easier for you, we could just jump on the phone, jump on a Zoom for 15 minutes, and I could just ask you these questions. You could tell me out loud, and I'll turn that into a blog post. But then when you start going to apply for jobs in cybersecurity, and I'm using cybersecurity here just as an example, like this could be in anything. It could be in fashion. It could be in, renewable energy. It could be in solar panels. It could be in whatever. I'm just using cybersecurity as an example. Then when you're going to apply for jobs in cybersecurity and people are looking at your resume, they'll go to your website and they'll just see all of this content and all of the stuff that you published about that area, which I got to tell you, if somebody did that on an entry-level job, that would be like knocking it out of the park for me. So Aurora asked the question, will we have a session on how to make and run a blog? And I think you're one of our interns, if I remember correctly, right? Throw me a little thumbs up if you're one of our interns. Yeah. So it's funny, we're actually hosting a workshop tomorrow for Vyten Plus members about exactly that, how to build a personal website, how to learn how to use WordPress, and like how to get a blog up and running so you can have a portfolio website. And like what's honestly great about doing this too is you can start freelancing. You could actually start doing contract work for other people as well. I see a thumbs up in the chat. So you know what we should do is, Carson, I think we should open up tomorrow's workshop to anybody, to everybody who's on here and anybody who wants to join. We host 2 workshops a month for our Vyten Plus members, and we've had so much interest here. What do you guys think about that? We have I think a 2.5-hour workshop tomorrow where we're actually going to walk step by step through exactly how to build a WordPress site, exactly where to host it, exactly how to pick a theme. And I think we should just open up that session for everybody. So if you have a Vyten account already, if you have a Vyten Insider account, which is our free account, if you have a Vyten Plus account, and you want to join us for this session tomorrow, just create an account at Vyten.com. And then when you log in, you're going to see a button on the top corner that says dashboard, and just hit that dashboard button, and there will be a calendar invite there. And tomorrow, we'll start that at 11 o'clock Central Time. So it's 11 o'clock Central Time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Central Time, which would be noon Eastern. And we'll just host this free workshop for anybody who wants to take that moment right? Take that first step and build your personal website, your personal portfolio website. And this will be like one of those things where you'll have your own domain name. And so when somebody types like yourname.com, it'll come to something that looks slick, doesn't have like banner ads and all of that stuff. But it also shows employers, if you're interested in a career in marketing in the future, shows employers that you're going to have experience there. Hip Writer Chick, really awesome Instagram handle right there. Hip Writer Chick says, are you going to be covering why WordPress versus other options like Wix.com? Yeah, that's a really good question. So I've used Wix.com, I've used Squarespace before, and I've built stuff on WordPress before. Here's one big difference. Wix.com, Squarespace.com, you're gonna end up paying about $10 a month to $15 a month for like the like basic plans, and then on top of that, a lot of the times you have to buy a domain name. So all in, you're paying like over $100 a year for hosting on your website. And WordPress is open source software. So basically, what open source software is like it's software that somebody creates. It's kind of like Wikipedia. They put it out there and anybody can use WordPress for free, but the software itself doesn't cost anything. And then all you have to do is just pay for hosting. And so, hosting is super, super, super cheap if you know where to go. So on tomorrow's session, I'm going to walk through like the host that I use. It's like $3.95 a month. So it doesn't get much cheaper than that. So Hip Writer Chick, that's number one reason why I think WordPress is free, and then you can host it for $3.95.
And it's pretty user friendly. Like you don't need to know a lot.
Yeah, totally.
Like technology coding or anything to make your website. And then another thing is launching your own personal website and having that instead of a cover letter. That's kind of a transition moment for you and but a lot of people just don't know how to get started. And so I'm glad that we're opening up the workshop tomorrow, because I think this is a topic that a lot of people can benefit from, kind of learning how to make that first step and make that change.
Yeah, well, so I see, by the way, Hip Writer Chip is Trisha Campbell. So thanks for that. So I see a question, will the workshop be recorded in case we can't attend it in real time? We'll open up the workshop tomorrow for free live. And if you're one of our Vyten Plus members, you'll have the recordings afterwards. So for anybody who's part of Vyten Plus knows that all of the workshops are recorded and on demand for our Vyten Plus members. So Vyten Plus members will get the recording for it. If you're on our free membership, which is our Vyten Insider membership, we'll make the live session available to you. So if you're on our free membership, you'll have the live version. If you're a Vyten Plus member, you can join the recorded, or you can join live as well. So I'm really excited for that. And this is not going to be like one of those things where like you sit there and you just watch a video and you don't have to do anything. Like this is actually going to be a workshop. And so everybody who's going to be on this workshop, by the end of the session, will have a live website, like up and running, like no joke. In 2 hours, we're just going to get it done together, and we'll have a place where you can ask any questions. And I know for our interns, that's one of the assignments in our 6-week internship program. So you'll literally be able to crank out, I think, a week-long assignment in about 2 hours, because we're going to be able to do it together. And you're not going to have to guess and figure out where to go. You're just going to get it all at once during that session. And I'm actually moving my website. So I'm actually rebuilding my website from scratch during that session. So I'm going to get it done along with you guys. Don't worry about doing anything yet. There's no homework. There's no pre-work that you have to do before tomorrow's session. We'll do it together live during that session. Speaking of their interns, we got a secret passcode this week, right?
Yes. Okay, so the secret passcode for this week is Icicle.
Why is it Icicle?
I have no idea.
It's like not even like it's like not even winter yet. It's not even like
I know.
first snow.
I was thinking about the snow, and I'm like, okay, last week it was pineapple. This week we'll go completely different direction.
Completely opposite. Like Carson's
Icicle.
ready for a white Christmas already.
And I did have to make sure that I spelled it right, so that's.
This is like one of my pet peeves. One of my neighbors where I live in Nashville. One of my neighbors has a giant inflatable Santa on their roof already, which like in December I'm like totally good with, but like I don't think that stuff should come out until before Thanksgiving. And like forget like after Thanksgiving, like it's not even Halloween yet. Like I feel like you can't skip Halloween and Thanksgiving. Superior Dank Master says, I sell hubcaps and I just started a website. Any tips for organization? Join our workshop tomorrow. Join our workshop tomorrow. We could jump into it. That's the nice thing about a personal website is there's so much you can do with it. Like I think everybody should have a personal domain name and a personal website because you can start blogging and building an audience. If you build a large audience, you can monetize that by selling advertisements or by working with sponsors. If you don't decide to do that, you can launch a business off of it. You can start selling, arts and crafts, whatever like your hobby is. You can turn it
Or like
into,
services if you.
yeah, services. And that's one big thing where like if you want to go into sales, if you want to go into marketing in the future, I'll tell you the biggest secret right now is you can start freelancing, launch your own personal website, and then you can start sending emails to businesses saying, hey, would you be interested in having me run your social media for, $200 a week? And the funny thing there is you get to put it on your resume, but somebody else probably will pay you $200-300 a week to run their Instagram account for their business because it's kind
Exactly.
of just one less thing that they have to worry about. And a lot of businesses don't even know how to do that. Like restaurants is where I would go. Like if I wanted to go into marketing and I wanted to learn how to do social media management, first thing I would do is launch a website. Second thing that I would do is I would hit up all my favorite restaurants in the area that don't post daily on Instagram, and I would offer them to post a photo a day as long as my meal is free once a week and they pay me $200 a week for it.
And
So,
another reason everything is virtual right now. So there are so many opportunities to seize with creating your website. And then you kind of can take those aspects of PR and apply them to monetize on whatever service you want to provide or whatever stories you want to tell. Plus, and then going into interviews, that's super impressive for employers or potential employers who see that, okay, during this time, you didn't just pause on your career, what you wanted to do. You took it as an opportunity to join in the digital sphere and like be virtual. And so that is also going to be super impressive.
all right, I got to do one more thing before we end this live stream. Who here has voted? If you've voted, throw us a thumbs up in the down in the comments down below. Hit that heart button if you have voted. Obviously, you guys know election day is coming up if you live in the US, but you can vote early. You can vote. It might be too late to vote by mail, but you can vote early. If you're registered to vote, there's likely a place where you can drop off a ballot inside of a box, or you can vote early. And like yesterday, I saw one of my buddies here in Nashville posted an Instagram story, and it was like 2 minutes in, 2 minutes out, which is way, way better than
Yeah,
waiting
you
till
were there
election
for a
day,
while.
where you're definitely not going to be 2 minutes in, 2 minutes out. And so, this is one of those things. This is one of those things where, like, if you have an opinion and if you like the way things are going, if you want things to change, like, this is the way to make your voice heard. And I'm so excited that we're surrounding ourselves and we have a crew on today. And look how many people have already voted. That's awesome.
Oh,
That's
so
awesome. So wear your sticker with pride. And thank you guys so much for making a plan to vote or already voting early. Next week, in this weekly career huddle, next week, giving you a heads up, if you're not already on my daily text messages, my text community, we're going to kick off a series on Monday that's going to be called 100%. Because I don't know about you, but like I want to surround myself with winners. And one of the ways to become a better person myself is to surround myself with other people who also work hard to be the best person that they can possibly be, to be the nicest person that they can possibly be, to give back to others, to be kind to others. Like these are the things that I want to be, which is why I surround myself with other people who are nice and kind and work hard as well. And the truth of the matter in life is you got to give it 100%. Because average results gets you, or average effort gets you average results, and average results gets you just an average life. So there's a 100 emoji. We're going to be using that all week long next week. But if you are in it with us, if you want to give whatever you're working towards right now, whatever your goal is, if you're going to give it 100% and take the next new step in your life or build a new habit, whatever that habit is, show me what that 100 emoji looks like. And next week, we're going to be talking all about that. And
And while you guys are doing that, we'll kind of wrap up on what this week was. So this week, our theme was those defining moments and really talking about how that can come to play in our lives. And so we actually just posted an Instagram post earlier today with the call to comment what a defining moment in your life has been. So we can share that with each other, and also any defining moments that you hope to have in the near future, so you can all hold each other accountable and put it out to the universe for somebody else to know, because that will make you more likely to then give 100% come next week.
I'm excited. 100 emoji. I'm going to be using that like all week long. So yeah, I'm excited to see so many of you at our workshop tomorrow that we're going to open up for all Vyten members. If you don't know where to go for that, just go to the Vyten website, make an account, and then it'll be on the calendar, and there will be a Zoom link to join. That's going to be at 11 o'clock Central Time, 11 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. It'll be about 2.5 hours, and we're going to build our websites
but you'll
together.
come out of it with so much. So.
Yeah, and if you don't have an account on our website, you can also shoot me a text. There's a link to, or actually my phone number is in our Instagram bio. So if you go to our Instagram bio after this, as soon as it ends, go to our Instagram bio, shoot me a text, and I can send you the Zoom for tomorrow's session as well. It's been a really good week this week, kind of behind the scenes. The Vyten team's been working on something top secret. I don't know if we're supposed to talk about this, but I don't know. It's been a pretty exciting project, but we've been working on something that's called Career Launchpad. And Career Launchpad is our full-blown program for anybody who wants to work in business in the future, for anybody who wants an entry-level role in business. So this could be in project management, it could be in operations strategy, it could be in customer success, it could be in sales, it could be in marketing, it could be as a data analyst. Career Launchpad is basically our like fully grown program that, I mean, it includes everything that I wish I would have known when I was applying for my first job. And so it's everything from how to use Google Sheets really well, how to use Excel really well, how to create presentations, how to get really organized for work. Like, what are the different ways that businesses become profitable? How do businesses run? What are they looking for from entry-level employees across all of these different areas? And throughout Career Launchpad, this is going to support everybody in the program all the way through their entire first year in that new job as well. Because one of the things that I learned when I started working in a bunch of jobs was there were things that I needed to know to be successful in those jobs. And so Career Launchpad is going to be by application only. So if you want to participate in it, you have to apply to join the program. We're only going to accept a certain number of people, but we're getting ready in the month of November to announce the applications for that. But if Career Launchpad is something that you guys are interested in, hit that heart button down below, and we'll try to make sure that we get you all of the latest information. But the way to get notified first that applications are going to be open for Career Launchpad is to get on to join my text community. So in the Instagram bio on our page, hit the phone number, shoot me a text, and just let me know that you're interested in Career Launchpad when we have the program available, and when applications are going to be available. It's not going to be like a crazy application process, but we only want people who are going to work hard on their future, only going to work hard on their career as part of this program. And so because of that, we have to have an application process. But the other thing too is we're going to be spending time investing in these folks and making sure that they land an incredible job in business after they graduate from school. And so because of the time that we're going to put in with people, we want to keep it a small group just to make sure that it's a really awesome program. All right.
And not to give too much away, but this is all information that we wish that we would have known and been able to emphasize on when we were in school and leaving and entering those entry level jobs. And so we're super excited for everyone who is ready to commit 100% and learn what we have to offer.
Yeah, and in the past too, like if you don't know or you're not sure which entry level job that you're the most interested in, this is actually perfect because it's a crash course in all of those different areas as well. And that way you make sure that you're kind of going the right way in the area that you're the most interested. All right, we're going to wrap up this session.
Awesome.
Go make a plan to vote if you haven't voted already. I see Katie just joined us. Hey, Katie, good to see you. The replay for this session is going to be on our Instagram TV. So IGTV, hit the IGTV tab on our Instagram profile, and you'll be able to see the replay for this session if you just joined us or you joined us late and you want to see what we talked about at the beginning of the session. All right, everybody, we'll see you same time, same place next week for our weekly career huddle. Everybody, have a good day. All right, let's go get them.